In today's episode, I'll talk about content delivery strategy for the program, but it's also going to be about how I utilized AI as a collaborator in my business. I'll share how Gemini validated my sense that I was missing the mark on how I was delivering content, and how I use both Gemini and Claude as collaborators to develop a plan to overhaul my video scripts and create something I hope will address the main problem that my trauma therapists are experiencing, which is burnout and lack of time to invest in their business. If you've been following along, this is episode 5 of Building My Program series, where I share the behind-the-scenes process of how I'm developing my Transform Your Trauma Therapy Practice 8-week business coaching program for trauma therapists. If we haven't met before, I'm Kristen, and I help trauma therapists recover from burnout and transform their practices into businesses they love. So this week, I was really struggling with how to deliver the content for my program. And something that has been sitting in the back of my mind for a while around developing this video content was, are people going to watch it? I was putting a lot of valuable information, and I've certainly been putting a lot of time into it. But the question kept kind of at the back of my head, just kept going, is this the right thing to do, to put all this into videos? And then I had the opportunity last week to meet with a therapist who was struggling with burnout, who is an amazing trauma therapist, but they were actually considering leaving the field altogether. And so I offered to meet with them because I really think they're amazing therapists and I don't want them to leave the field. And I was really curious as to what was bringing this up for them. So we talked about it, and I realized within the first 15 minutes that this was going to be an ideal client for my business program, because it was really so much of the things that they were struggling with was about the business model. I mean, there were certainly other factors that were needed to be taken into consideration, so I'm not saying this was everything, but there was a big component of it that was the business model. And so after talking with them, I thought, oh, okay, this would be somebody who would need the information that I am offering, but they're so burned out that they're thinking of leaving the industry. And so are they going to have the time or the inclination to watch videos about business, and something they never even went to school for or really wanted to do was to have a business? Are they really going to be somebody who's going to want to do that? And I think my answer came back and being like, no, I actually don't think so. And not just this person, I mean, the feedback I was getting from the coaching program and the things that I heard people saying to me were all around this idea of like, oh my gosh, the program was so great. I'm sorry I didn't get enough time to go through all the video modules. And the feedback I was getting was the coaching part of the program was great, but most people were getting stuck on the video content. And so I decided, okay, I think I need to go back to square one for a minute here. I need to pause. And I need to look at, one, who is the person that is going to be taking my training? So developing an ideal client avatar. And I had done it before, but I had so much more feedback now since running the beta program and a lot of individual coaching calls I've done since then. So like, okay, I have a lot of information. I just need to feed it into like a LLM in order to get the information out to really develop my ideal client avatar. And then once I have that, the second thing I need to do is going to be looking at what type of teaching model is going to be best for that student. So then I started with developing the ideal client avatar. And I did this in Google's Gemini, which is the same. It's a large language model. It's, AI, same as Claude, ChatGPT, there's Gemini. And Gemini had just Google just released a new version of Gemini, and people were saying that it was really good. So I wanted to give it a try, and for 2 reasons. One, Claude, I tend to run out of their context window or tokens. I tend to run out of quickly when I'm doing a lot of deep back and forth work, like what I wanted to do for this ideal client avatar. And so I end up doing this, and then then it pauses you and say, hey, come back in 2 hours and we can continue talking because you've hit the limit. So Claude has a little bit more restrictions on that when you're using their higher model, which I like to use because I think it's just better. And Gemini doesn't have as many. It has a context window, but it's a lot larger. And so you can do a lot more back and forth with Gemini. So what I decided to do was I was going to do the research piece of it with Gemini, and then I would refine it in Claude. So I'm just balancing the use of both skills. So I went into Gemini and I decided, okay, I'm going to upload the feedback I got from my program. I'm going to upload all the transcripts from the coaching calls from my program. I've done a lot of individual business coaching since then. I uploaded those calls and I provided it with a prompt. And that prompt was, I want you to act as a market research and product development specialist. And I want you to analyze these documents that I've attached and help me to construct a really specific ideal client avatar for my program. I gave it more instructions, synthesizing the data, looking for patterns. I asked it to identify their problems, their pain points, what's causing them to stress right now. I asked it to capture the voice of the customer, so extract some specific phrases, some metaphors they may have used to describe their problems. And I asked it for a specific output. So here's what I'm looking for. I want a detailed profile that contains like a persona, and we give it a name just to identify it, professional demographics, personal contexts, core values, what drives them, what are they ashamed of, what are their freeze triggers, what are their before and after states? So what does their life look like now, and what would they desire for their life to look like? I asked it to identify what their buying triggers are and what their objections are. So why would they not buy my program? And then create a list of some of the direct quotes from the data that just best embody the collective struggles of the group. And I also asked it to redact all names with the exception of my name in the analysis. So I plugged that into Gemini. I uploaded all the documents, and I had to do that in batches because you can't upload as much information as I can at like one shot. So that's just a little tip. If you do have a lot of information, you can tell whatever LLM you're using, I'm going to upload this in batches. Please do not go to the next step until I tell you that I've completely uploaded all the batches. Or you can tell that, like I told it, I said I'm going to do 3 batches. Wait after each batch, and then I'll tell you when I'm ready to run the rest of the prompt. So when I put all of that in, I was able to get back an ideal client avatar and was able to tweak that a bit. But the one big internal objection that came up was, I don't have the energy or bandwidth to learn something new. And so that was the summary of like, my ideal client is so tired that adding another course feels like adding another burden. So adding something new of learning about your business feels like another burden. And I totally get that. And it really resonates. And with everybody that I have been working with, I think they would all resonate with that statement, right? So that was really consistent with the feedback that I had mentioned that I was getting from my participants, which was, I love the program. It was really helpful. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to watch all the videos yet. And when I ran the beta program, I tell you, I didn't even have that many videos in the beta program because I was making it as I went, and it was really a lot of work. And so I didn't do as much as what I'm putting together right now. So if people were having problems keeping up with it then, can you imagine like with what I release the next time? I have the potential of flooding them and overwhelming them and having them just withdraw from the program, or worse, which is pay for the program and then not get anything out of it, right? Because they just got overwhelmed. As you know, I've spent months scripting these videos, and I'm going to have to spend a few weeks recording and editing them. So I haven't recorded them all. I've just been scripting them all. So what I wanted to do next, after I got that feedback on my ideal client avatar, it lined up exactly with the feedback that I was getting from people. I said, okay, I have to figure out how to teach this in a way that is helpful, and that how my students or the participants in my program will be able to utilize it. So the next thing I did was I went for a deeper dive into teaching styles. So I asked Gemini, walk me through some different teaching styles, and let's talk about identifying one that would be the best for my ideal client. And I went back and forth with Gemini. It gave me some teaching styles. I was like, well, this is what my ideal client avatar says, and this is what the program that I'm offering. And I narrowed that down a bit. And then once I had that, I went back into Claude. And then I said, I've uploaded my ideal client avatar again, or a new one, updated one. And I updated the teaching style. This is what's determined for the teaching style. And I asked it to develop a guide for my program, but I also asked it to include this framework that I've developed and that I've been nurturing along the way, which is called the EACH framework, which is about how all of my communication, I want it to pass a certain test, which is the EACH test, which is, does it have empathy? Does it exude empathy, attuning to my client's position or current problem? Does it approach with a sense of curiosity and with also a sense of humility? So I have that communication style. That guide has already been developed and been refining it over months. So I always utilize that when I'm writing scripts or anything like that. So I went back into Claude and I said, okay, let's develop a plan for how to write my video scripts based on this teaching style, based on the EACH framework, and based on my ideal client avatar. And we co-created with Claude, we co-created this foundation of how will my ideal clients best learn. And it's staying within the same framework that I developed, the foundational modules, the 6 foundational modules that I had developed, which I still believe it really firmly is like what my clients need to be working with or to understand. But it broke it down instead of like one 10-minute or 15-minute module that they'd have to watch. It went back and analyzed each module and each lesson in each module, I should say, because almost each lesson, like there were probably like 4 lessons a module, and each lesson was like 10 to 12 minutes a lesson. And so that's a lot of over 6 times. That's a lot of content to be absorbing. So what I finally settled on was there's going to be certain components of the videos. So some might be directed towards mindset issues. Some might be directed towards action items. Like if you need to rewrite your cancellation policy, it might be directed towards that. Some are helpful reframes. So we're reframing the way we're thinking about something. So with this framework in place, I went into Claude and I created a Claude skill. And I think I had mentioned this last time that I've been developing Claude skills and really loving them. But it's a skill that I said was specifically for writing these video scripts. So it is a skill that I invoke. I have to say, Claude will run the this, and this skill, however I name the skill. And this is a draft of my video script. And please use the skill that talks about the teaching, that connects with my ideal client avatar, and that connects with my EACH communication framework, and suggest edits and rewrites to it so that it fits within the constraints of our new kind of teaching methodology. So it was exciting because I think it's beginning the foundation of what I hope to be something bigger and better that I'll be able to provide in the future for trauma therapists. But what it is doing, the first step of that, what it's doing now is I'm taking all of that content and we're putting it into bite-sized pieces. So videos of about 5 minutes in length that cover one specific topic, like really efficiently and effectively. It is not a thing that now needs to be consumed from beginning to end. It is going to be something that if you need to just write a cancellation policy, you'll go into the action section of the cancellation policies and you'll be able to write your cancellation policy. If you're not having any problems with mindset around cancellation policy, why should you have to watch that video? You shouldn't, right? I just want to respect my trauma therapist's time. I'm asking them to sit through like 12 to 15-minute videos when I could distill it down to 5 minutes. I think that's not respecting their time. So then I had to go in and take all the scripts that I have written and put them through this new skill, which recommended the edits. And I had to tell you, I think it's looking pretty good. And it's also helping me to create the modules that I haven't done yet. So this week I did modules 4 and 5. And module 4 is caseload and schedule optimization. And module 5 is professional development. So now each module is broken down into mini lessons based on what you need. So for finding your sustainable caseload, it was broken down into 4 mini lessons. One that provides some validation, one that offers a concept, one that offers an action strategy, and one that offers the business reframe. So not all are separated into those 4, but those are kind of the categories that I'm working with. And concept is usually like around mindset issues. So if finding your sustainable caseload could be around mindset issues of like, I have to be working this many hours or I have to see this many clients. Or we talk about strategy of something that you need to do as an action of I'm in a certain situation and I can't be seeing 20 clients a week. I need to cut it down to 10. How can I do that ethically and responsibly? So this is how the modules and the lessons are now going to be broken down into more bite size. So you can go in 5 minutes, watch it, be done. And I think that over the long term, I'm hopeful that I can create a broader learning hub where you would be able to type in, I'm just struggling with my cancellation policy. I'm struggling with mindset around my cancellation policy. And it will be able to pop up all the issues around mindset and cancellation policy. And you'll be able to just watch that because it's what you need. Or if you need to pop in, like, I need a sliding scale policy. I just don't know how to create it. It'll send you right to that module and be like, just watch this. And you should be able to go through your sliding scale. So it would be like a learning environment where you can chat directly with the content, and meaning that course, like I said before, isn't consumed from front to back. It's just something you can take what you need for it when you need. And that I think could be really helpful for trauma therapists who are just being exposed to the business world. It's a lot to take in new information. And so you can take it in when you need it at the time that you need it. And so the coaching part of the program is actually not going to follow those modules. It's going to be set up just a little bit differently so people can get what they need from me, which isn't, okay, I'm going to teach you about cancellation policies, because not everybody needs that. So the coaching will be a little bit more tailored to the people who are coming to the coaching call and the people who are in the program and what they really need from that, from a business perspective. So that's where I ended up. I'm pretty excited for the future because I do have in my mind that's starting to coalesce this idea of something bigger and broader that I could offer trauma therapists to really help them with their business while saving them the time. Like, you don't have to get into knowing, and same thing with the AI piece. You don't have to know everything about AI. Like, if I can go in and understand it and create something through AI that you can utilize, then that's all the better, right? So this is where I am with it right now, and I'm excited for the future. So if you are a trauma therapist who wants support in making changes to your business model, please consider signing up for the Transform Your Trauma Therapy Practice program. It is an 8-week coaching program, and where we're going to talk about the fundamentals and the foundations of your business and support you in creating or even identifying a trauma therapy practice that you can love. There's a link to the waitlist in the description, and the next cohort will launch in January 2026, and hopefully about quarterly or every 4 months from there going on. So get on the list if you want to hear about it when enrollment opens. And if you are on that email list, you hear about it a week before I open general enrollment. And 2, you do get an early bird discount. If you're interested, just put your name on the list. If this was helpful, I would really appreciate if you'd hit like and subscribe. The last video in the series is going to be next week, where I'm going to talk about my launch plans, because I'm launching that program in about 4 weeks from now. And I'll talk about my launch strategy and the things that I'm doing to get things together. And that will be the end of the series. But I will continue posting on YouTube regularly with information to help burned out trauma therapists start to explore and embrace businesses they love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.